Welcome back to The Explainer. Let's jump right into it. If you've been feeling that ever-increasing pinch at the gas pump lately or staring in total disbelief at your grocery bill, well, you're definitely not alone. And the root cause of all that pain? It isn't just inflation. It's actually anchored to a massive, high-stakes geopolitical standoff half a world away. Today, we're unpacking the escalating conflict between the United States and Iran, and a massive blockade that is literally choking off global trade. We're going to break down the strategies, the demands, and the global fallout of this whole situation.
Okay, let's dive into this. Part 1. The Global Economic Choke Point. To really understand why your wallet is hurting, we've got to look at the macro-level picture. Right now, a fragile ceasefire is technically in place, but a strict U.S. naval blockade continues to choke the Strait of Hormuz. And guys, this isn't just some regional dispute. It's a massive global economic bottleneck sending shockwaves across every single continent. Just look at the sheer scale of this. 20%, literally 1/5 of the entire world's traded oil and gas passes through this single narrow strait during peacetime. When you suddenly cut off that much global energy supply, well, the basic laws of supply and demand take over. Prices absolutely skyrocket. Because that energy, it powers the ships, the trucks, and the factories that deliver goods to your local stores, which explains exactly why this standoff matters directly to you.
Moving right along to Part 2, Iran's 3 conditions.
So, over the weekend, we actually saw a major development. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi visited regional mediators in Oman and Pakistan, and he delivered a brand new proposal designed to break this deadlock and set talks back into motion. The proposal lays out 3 specific steps. Step 1. The United States must completely lift its naval blockade of Iranian ports. Step 2. All negotiations regarding Iran's nuclear program get postponed to a later date. And finally, Step 3, in exchange for those first 2 steps, Tehran agrees to reopen the vital maritime choke point of Hormuz. This sequence perfectly lays out Iran's strategic leverage, right? They're essentially offering immediate economic relief to the world, but only if the pressure is taken off their nuclear development timeline.
Which brings us to Part 3. The U.S. Nuclear Red Line.
Now, despite all that immense economic pressure, President Donald Trump and his national security team are reportedly highly skeptical of Iran's new offer, and this brilliantly illustrates the stalemate we're in. The core issue for the U.S. isn't really the strait itself, but what reopening it would cost them strategically. On one side, you have Iran's offer, delay the nuclear talks to grant immediate relief to global energy and financial markets. On the flip side, you have the primary U.S. demand, an absolute refusal to accept any deal that excludes preventing Iran from developing a nuclear program. Denying Tehran nuclear weapons was a foundational reason the Trump administration went into this conflict to begin with, and they are flat out refusing to compromise on that core objective.
And this firm stance is echoed really clearly by top U.S. officials. In a recent interview, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio stated definitively, "We have to ensure that any deal that is made, any agreement that is made, is one that definitively prevents them from sprinting towards a nuclear weapon at any point." He even added that the U.S. can't let them get away with it. This hardline position is totally backed up by White House spokeswoman Olivia Wales, who clearly noted that the U.S. will not negotiate through the press and that they've been absolutely clear about their red lines.
All right, let's get into Part 4, the battle for leverage.
Behind closed doors, there is a vigorous debate happening within the U.S. administration right now over leverage. Basically, who holds more of it, and which country is better positioned to endure the severe economic hardship created by the closing of Hormuz. It's basically a high-stakes game of economic chicken. The U.S. firmly believes that Iran is really struggling internally. In fact, President Trump recently posted on Truth Social about this, saying Iran is having a very hard time figuring out who their leader is. The infighting is between the hardliners who have been losing badly on the battlefield and the moderates who are not very moderate at all. It's crazy. Because of this, U.S. officials believe Iran's leadership hasn't even authorized its negotiators to make concessions, which is severely hindering any chance of a peace agreement.
So the crucial point here is this ultimate dilemma for the United States. Think about it. If they accept Iran's proposal to halt nuclear talks, they secure quick relief for the global markets, meaning lower gas prices and easing inflation. But making that choice carries a massive strategic risk. Even temporarily halting those talks could signal to the rest of the world that the war failed to achieve its biggest goal, which was increasing pressure on Tehran to make a deal over its enrichment program. It's a really tough spot to be in.
So, where do we go from here? Part 5. What happens next?
While both nations are locked in a standoff over this fragile ceasefire, the underlying blockade remains very much real, and the collateral damage is entirely global. Just look at these cascading effects. Here in the U.S., voters are dealing with skyrocketing oil and gasoline prices right ahead of crucial midterm elections, which puts immense political pressure on the administration. Meanwhile, U.S. Gulf allies are absolutely furious because they literally cannot export their own oil and gas through the waterway. Globally, the cost of fertilizer, food, and everyday basic goods is just surging. And inside Iran, the blockade is depriving the government of crucial revenue, potentially creating a massive crisis where Tehran has to entirely shut off oil production simply because they have nowhere left to store it. The pain is intense, and it's being felt by everyone, everywhere, all at the same time.
Which really leaves us with this final, profound question to consider. Will the desperate, mounting need for global economic relief eventually outweigh the strict demand for nuclear disarmament? As the pressure cooker of the global economy continues to heat up, someone is eventually going to have to blink. But until they do, the standoff in the Strait of Hormuz will continue to impact all of us. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Stay curious, keep asking questions, and I'll see you next time as we unpack the world's next big challenge.